The next bill on our agenda is House File 1207 or 1207, whatever. Anyway, Representative Long, and this bill is going to be laid over for possible inclusion. Representative, I'll move the bill to have it on our agenda. Representative Long, you want to explain your bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a straightforward bill. It would add just 8 words of new text to our statutes, and it's designed to deal with the increase in targeting of the homes of elected officials to add an additional option to protect a candidate's home address. Right now, a candidate can request that their home address be private if they file a police report or if they have an order for protection, and these are both relatively high burdens on candidates. This bill would add an additional criterion if a candidate has a reasonable fear for their own safety or for the safety of their family. The reasonable fear would have to be articulated in the affidavit of candidacy. As happens now, the candidate's home address would still be on file as a separate form. Also, as happens now, the campaign would still need to list a candidate's campaign contact address, such as a post office box or a separate address where they could be reached by mail. And for constituents who want to verify that a candidate lives in the district where they are running, the same process applies as does now. A registered voter may petition the filing officer to review the candidate affidavit to make a determination that they do in fact live in the district. And if the address is not in the area, then the remedy is removing that name from the ballot. This bill is a bipartisan effort with Senator Pratt introducing the Senate companion. And I'm hoping we can take this small step to provide additional protection for candidates with reason to fear for their safety.
Thank you, Representative Long. I see Mr. Sigurdson from the Campaign Finance Board is here to answer questions if needed. With that, members, any questions? Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Long, I understand the implications of this, having had my own house targeted a number of times and did talk with my own sheriff. But my question is, how do we assess in your bill what reasonable fear is, and are there standards for that? Are there criterion? I just want to make sure that we have details that are already spelled out if this is to become law.
Representative Nash, or excuse me, Representative Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Nash, for the question. So the reasonable fear would have to be attested to in the affidavit, and it would be, in my view, up to the filing officer to review that and determine if it was reasonable. I think reasonableness is a standard that's applied pretty widely in our courts and in other systems. There is no standard, for example, right now with the police report. So any police report seems to qualify. So I do think that this would help make sure that folks who have fear but aren't able to take the steps necessarily of going to get a police report can keep their addresses protected. And they still would need to list it, as I mentioned, in writing in the affidavit that is signed and sent into the with their affidavit of candidacy.
Representative Nash, follow up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And well, Representative Long, I believe that you're a lawyer for a living, and I know that there are many things that do provide for tests when you're trying to establish something. And I'm just throwing out possibilities. If a person taking the report has a different level of what is perceived threat or what is the perception of danger to an elected official or a candidate, does that negate what the candidate themselves necessarily feels about their safety? And I'm just trying to encourage you to put specificity into a bill, because a law is only as good as the details that went into its creation. And I don't hear that right now. And I'm not trying to say where I am on this or one way or another, but I'm encouraging you to add details, because if this were to become law and if this were to be put into action, it's going to require a fair amount of meat on the bones in order to make sure that it is enforceable in any jurisdiction that it may get invoked. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Representative Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are, I think, a wide number of circumstances that could give rise to somebody having a reasonable fear. And so it seemed like it would be difficult to spell them all out. But Representative Nash, if you have suggestions on what additional criteria we might add to the bill, I'd certainly be happy to work with you on that.
Representative
and-
Nash?
Yeah, and I'll be brief, Mr. Chair. Well, Representative Long, no disrespect intended, but this is your bill, and I would have imagined that you would have come into committee with an idea of some of the possible details that have gone in there. So I certainly can consider that, and if this does get put into the omnibus bill, I will certainly bring some specific examples. But again, as the author of the bill, I would have hoped you would have brought us a little bit more. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? If not, we'll lay this bill over. Thank you, Representative Long, for the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.